Cinderladdin, written and read by Malcolm Cowper. Cinderella rarely left the kitchen during her long working day. She even slept there on a camp bed, onto which she collapsed exhausted at night. She was not allowed outside the house under any circumstances. Cooking, cleaning, washing and ironing occupied her entire day, leaving no time for leisure or relaxation. Her real name was Lana Knežević. She was Romanian and had been lured to Britain with the promise of a job with accommodation. She did indeed have a job with accommodation, but the job was unpaid. She was in fact a slave. Her employers were three sisters, the daughters of a property tycoon who lived in the Bahamas, where he could keep his immense wealth shielded from the prying eyes of HMRC. The sisters ran a lucrative business, supplying high-end drugs to high-end people at high-end prices, the profits of which were laundered through their father's company. The girls, having an ironic sense of humour, had christened her Cinderella and themselves the Ugly Sisters, though in fact they were all beautiful, and used their looks to advantage when entertaining potential clients. Lana was not their only slave. There was also Yusuf, a teenage boy who had been trafficked over from Libya. They had decided they needed someone to do the garden and to help Lana with the heavier work in the house. "Yes," said Arabella, the oldest sister, "we definitely need to get Aladdin." "Get Aladdin!" shrieked the other two. They had laughed uproariously at this unintended pun, so as soon as he arrived, Yusuf was christened Aladdin. Unlike Lana, he was allowed out, but only to do the shopping. He was never tempted to escape, having been warned that if he did so, his younger brother, who was still in the hands of the traffickers, would have his throat cut. One day, returning home from the shops, he came across a flea market. He had never heard of such a thing and decided to take a quick look. There he spotted a small brass oil lamp of the kind he remembered seeing in his grandparents' house in Libya. Overcome with nostalgia, he decided he must have it, and being from a race of natural hagglers, he managed to bring the price down to what he could afford with the change from the shopping. It was encrusted with years of grime, but as soon as he got home, he sat down at the kitchen table with a duster and a tin of Brasso and began to rub it vigorously. Suddenly, and to his utter astonishment, clouds of white smoke billowed out of the spout, and from this materialized a turbaned oriental figure. "I am a genie," it said. "I am your servant. What is your wish, O master?" Yusuf and Lana were dumbfounded. Finally, Yusuf said, "Do you mean I can have anything I want?" "Anything at all," replied the genie. "What is your greatest wish in all the world?" Yusuf and Lana looked at each other, both sharing the same thought. "We'd like to be free from the Ugly Sisters. In fact, we'd like them put in prison. They're criminals." "Your wish is my command," said the genie. "On Friday night, the Minister of Justice is going to a charity ball which the sisters will be attending. You, Lana, will also go to it and tell the minister about them. I will supply you with all you need." And with that, he disappeared into another cloud of smoke. The next day, a package arrived for Lana, which she hastily secreted into the kitchen just before one of the sisters came downstairs. Opening it, she found a ball gown, shoes, jewellery, shampoo, makeup, an invitation to the ball, a photo of the Minister of Justice, and cash for a taxi. On the Friday evening, after the sisters had left, she took a taxi to the ball. She kept well out of sight of the sisters, but in fact it was unlikely they would have recognized her. Dressed in her ball gown, instead of her usual rags, her face made up, and her hair shining, she actually looked stunningly attractive. She recognized the Minister of Justice from his photo and casually made her way towards him. He spotted her, came over to her, and asked her to dance, and as they glided round the hall, she told him about the sisters and their wicked ways. He had long suspected that they were up to no good, and had them immediately arrested and taken for questioning. He also had Yusuf's brother released and his captors arrested. However, there was an unexpected turn of events. For the minister, who was young, handsome, and single, immediately fell in love with Lana, and she with him. Before they parted, he had invited her for lunch the next day at the Café Royal. However, when she got home, the genie made an unexpected appearance. "This could be tricky, Lana. Be careful what you wish for," he said, before vanishing again. She decided he probably meant that the minister had a girlfriend already, and thought no more about it. The next day she met the Right Honourable Christopher Beaumont MP at the Café Royal. They sat down at a table, but before ordering the food, he said, "Lana, there's something I should tell you. It may affect how you feel about me." "You've got a girlfriend already?" she suggested. "No, I have no girlfriend, but what you need to know is that my name is now Christopher, but I was born Christine. I used to be a girl." Her jaw dropped, and the blood drained from her face. Her Romanian upbringing had not prepared her for this. "Excuse me," she mumbled, as she dashed off to the ladies' room. She locked herself in a cubicle, took a few deep breaths, and then heard the voice of the genie in her ears. "I told you it would be tricky. Well, Lana, what do you want to do now?" Her mind was in turmoil. She could not grasp the fact that someone born a woman could change into a man. And although sex rarely figured in her sheltered upbringing, she knew that this was bound to become an issue if the relationship were to continue. "I don't know, Genie. I'm totally confused. Help me, please." "Well, do you still love him?" asked the genie. She hesitated, and then replied, "Yes. Yes, I do." "And do you think he still loves you?" "He must do, or he wouldn't have told me his secret." "Well, if you truly love each other, you will find a way around any difficulties." Meanwhile, Christopher remained sitting at the table, his stomach churning with anxiety. He was immensely relieved when he saw her coming back. At least she had not run off. She sat down at the table. "Thank you for your honesty, Christopher. I must admit you took me by surprise, but I've thought about it, and I can see no reason why I can't love you." He took her hand. "Thank God," he said, and going down on one knee, said, "Lana, will you marry me?" "Of course." And they lived happily ever after.